All right. So let's go ahead and get started this Sunday morning. First thing we're going to do is we're going to look at the coin market cap. We've got the market is at $217 billion. That is up 1.4% over the last 24 hours. Bitcoin dominance is still above 68%, 68.1%. We've got Bitcoin itself is at 8,100, up 1.1% over the last 24 hours and up 10.8% over the last 7 days. Ethereum is up 7.9%. Ripple is up 11.4%, and Bitcoin Cash 18.7% over the last 7 days. Let's see the best performers over the last 24 hours. Made Safecoin, Bytecoin, Ontology, BitTorrent, Ox, no real top coin. Neo 5.4%, EOS 4.5%. Let's see worst performers over the last 24 hours. Steam negative 1.6%. Energy. Oh, wait a second. How can this is the worst performers over the last 24 hours, yet these have worse than Steam. What's going on with CoinGecko this morning? DX Chain 4.8% negative. That's weird. Why it did it that way. All right, let's take a look at some of the news. Fundstrat reveals Bitcoin 2020 outlook, predicts massive rally based on 3 factors. So he's predicting we're going to see a massive rally this year. Tom Lee, managing partner and head of research at Fundstrat Global Advisors, says he expects a major Bitcoin rally this year. According to Fundstrat's recently published 2020 Crypto Outlook report, there are 3 main factors that could cause Bitcoin to surge. They include 1, the upcoming Bitcoin halving event. Yeah, that's true, which will reduce the cryptocurrency's rate of new supply by 50%. Number 2, increasing geopolitical risk. Yeah, that's true as well. And number 3, the 2020 U.S. presidential election. Now, that is unique. That is very, very unique. See, Bitcoin is not tied to just the United States, which is why I'm always paying attention to geopolitical news. So 1 and 2, I understand completely, but 3 is the unknown factor. How will the 2020 presidential election in the U.S. affect the rest of the world? You know, I did a Facebook Live the other day where I gave my opinion on Iran. And one of the things that I stated, my biggest fear, or not fear, concern, in my lifetime, when I was born, Jimmy Carter was president. So in my lifetime, 43 years, I've gone from Jimmy Carter, Ronald Reagan, George Bush, Bill Clinton, George Bush Jr., Barack Obama, and Donald J. Trump. 7 presidents in my lifetime. Every single time we had a new president in my lifetime, there has been a peaceful transfer of power. That doesn't mean that it wasn't always controversial. The most controversial transfer of power on election night took place with Al Gore versus George Bush, where we went to sleep that night not knowing who the president was. Remember the hanging chads in Florida? It all came down to the state of Florida and a couple of districts out there that was going to determine who the president was. But at the end of the day, Al Gore, he stepped down. He went ahead and relinquished. He was vice president at the time, but he did not go any further, and George Bush became president. However, This presidential election is going to be the most controversial in my lifetime. I can already predict exactly how this is going to go down. The Republicans and Donald Trump will start planting the seeds right now that the elections are going to be rigged by the deep state and the swamp, because nobody likes Donald Trump and they want to get him out of power. So they're going to do everything illegal, voter fraud, illegals voting, all that stuff, to make sure Donald Trump doesn't win. They're already going to start saying that right now. If Donald Trump wins, he will call it the greatest victory in human history. If Donald Trump loses, he will call it the greatest conspiracy in human history, and he will not willingly step down. There's only one way I can see Donald Trump conceding. Only one way is if he loses not only the popular vote, but also the Electoral College by a landslide. If it's even anything close, there is no way on God's green earth that man is going to say, I lost. No way. He will claim election fraud and will not step down, which will put us at a huge constitutional crisis. It normally wouldn't be, but his enablers and his supporters will go with him and say, no. We don't care what the election says. It's fraud. Now, if the elections were on the blockchain, then there's no way it could be frauded. No way it could be frauded. However, if it's not, you leave it open for both sides to claim fraud. This will not be Al Gore and George Bush. Trump is a different animal, and his supporters are lockstep no matter what. They already made up their mind no matter what. Whether you like them or not, I'm not speaking based on partisanship here. I'm only speaking on fact. We all know this. Even if you're a Donald Trump supporter, you know this. You know, no matter what, you're going to support him, which leads to a constitutional crisis. If the president loses election and he does not step down, what is going to happen next? And the rest of the world will be watching. That is my greatest concern with 2020. Now, how is that going to impact crypto? Well, it's just like when we bombed the Iranian general and the world thought we were about to go to war. Investors always move their investments into safe havens like gold and silver. But this time they also moved it into Bitcoin, and Bitcoin had a run 2 weeks ago. So if they're saying the 2020 election is haywire and goes crazy, that it's going to put the entire world on edge. It's going to mess with the markets. And Bitcoin is going to go up because of it. The more controversy there is, the more Bitcoin will rise. So I hope I said that in a way that is you guys can put your Democrat and Republican hats aside for a second and think as Americans, understand what I'm saying here. That we've never seen anything like this in our lifetimes before. Here's also something new. This is something new for Republicans. You had Ronald Reagan, 8 years. You had George H.W. Bush, 8 years. The only Republican in my lifetime that only served one term was Daddy Bush. And the Republicans could, when Clinton was elected, all hell broke loose and they impeached him. When the next Democrat president was Barack Obama, and on day one, the Republicans said, we will block every single thing he does in Congress, period. When the next Republican became president, he said, we are going to reverse every single thing the last Democratic president did. Again, I am not speaking based on partisanship. I am only speaking on fact. This is a fact. So let me read this rest of this article, what this has to say. Fundstrat also points to Bitcoin's strong performance in 2019. Bitcoin returned 92% in 2019, trouncing all other major asset classes, an impressive return given the significant policy and regulatory headwinds that emerged during the year, the congressional blowback from Facebook's Libra, and the correlated White House bashing of Bitcoin marked the highs of 2019. This should say something that Warren Buffett has had his worst decade. Warren Buffett bashed Bitcoin, still is, yet Bitcoin was the best performing asset by far of the last decade. It grew 92% in 2019, despite the president saying that cash is king and Bitcoin is nothing. The bottom line, according to Lee, is that Bitcoin halving event has not yet been priced in. Now, that's a debate. We've got other experts saying it's already priced in. We've got some saying, like Lee, it's not priced in. I really don't care because I don't think it's going to explode anyway until 2021. We just got to get ourselves positioned to accumulate as much Bitcoin as possible before then. Given the financial markets tend to discount 1 to 3 months and maybe 6 months. That's why I said 2021, 6 months. Fundstrat analysts see several positive convergences that could potentially enhance the economic model of Bitcoin and cryptocurrency at large. We believe Bitcoin and crypto total return this year should exceed that of 2019. In other words, we see strong probability that Bitcoin gains 100% in 2020. Wow. Now, what does a 100% gain look like? Well, in 2019, it went from 3,500 all the way up to 14,000. In 2020, right now it's at 8,100. 100% gain puts it over $16,000 a coin. That ain't bad. This is not the first time Lee has made a bold Bitcoin prediction. He joined a chorus of analysts in 2018 who expected Bitcoin to soar. Lee set his target for that year at 25,000 and later adjusted it to 15,000, only to see Bitcoin end the year at 3,700. Bitcoin's price action, let's qualify this first of all. This is why crypto education or education in period is so important. You just can't look at the numbers. You can't look at this and say, wow, Lee was way off. What happened that caused us to go to 3,700? There's always an outside force. You guys know what happened in October 2018. Anybody know what happened? I know what happened. Here's what happened. Bitcoin Cash forked and created two coins, Bitcoin SV and Bitcoin ABC. Bitcoin ABC became Bitcoin Cash, and then you got Bitcoin SV that was backed up by self-proclaimed Satoshi Nakamoto, Craig Wright. Good morning, Jacqueline. Craig Wright, at that time, was at war with the Bitcoin Cash people and said he was going to crash Bitcoin in an attempt to bankrupt them. Now, what is his reasoning behind that? Well, they're all miners. If you bring the price of Bitcoin down, it's no longer profitable to mine. So that's what he was attempting. He was trying to punish the other miners on the Bitcoin Cash side, and he manipulated the market all the way down, and it was at a little over 6,000 at the time, and it dropped below 3,000. That was an unforeseen outside force that took place that messed up Lee's target of 15K by the end of the year. Artificial. It bounced back to 14,000 in 2019, which goes back to Lee's adjustment of $15,000. So if that fork didn't take place, if Craig Wright didn't act a fool, it probably would have ended the year at 15K or somewhere close to there. So this is why education is so important, so that you understand how outside forces can impact, just like what this guy's saying now. The 2020 presidential election is going to have an impact on the price of Bitcoin. We wake up the day after an election not knowing who the president is, and half the country is ready to go to war, civil war, because they don't believe Donald Trump lost, and the other half of the country is ready to go to war because Donald Trump won. There's going to be market chaos. So Bitcoin's price action has moved remarkably difficult to predict. Traded globally, the cryptocurrency can be used to make payments for everything from pizza to cars to luxury homes. It is also increasingly considered as a store of value, rivaling gold. Good morning, my cousin Marnita. Here's another reason why I am on a mission to build a financial wall around your house so high that nothing can penetrate it, because you're going to want to have resources when the time comes. If all hell breaks loose on election night and the weeks to follow, you want to be able to have enough cash to have options to do certain things. That's all I'm going to say about that. You do not want to be in a position where you are completely reliant on the government, and you definitely want to have your resources outside of the U.S. dollar and the U.S. banks. You need to be able to give you and your family options. That's all I'm going to say about that, because both sides are preparing. You've got one side that completely hates Donald Trump. You've got the other side that acts as if he is God's chosen one, and that he can do absolutely no wrong. Whichever side you're on, you believe you're right. Do you know that old saying? When the mind is right, facts don't matter. Facts don't matter in this case. Emotions and belief is what's going to carry the day. And both sides are emotional about what they believe, and they believe the other side's the enemy. So when election night comes, I'm praying. I'm praying now. I'm praying for our nation. Right or wrong. Bitcoin's price action has proved remarkably difficult to predict. Traded globally, the cryptocurrency can be used to make payments for everything from pizza to cars to luxury homes. It is also increasingly considered as a store of value, rivaling gold. That is true. All right, next up. The U.S. Treasury Department, what are they doing? U.S. Treasury Department trials blockchain-based platform using tokens. Now, this is a step in the right direction, although not the direction that you think. The U.S. Treasury Department is concluding a series of tests of a blockchain-based platform that monitors grant payouts. Program Manager Craig Fisher reveals that the agency is nearing the completion of a proof-of-concept program that would track the letter of credit for recipients of financial grants. The blockchain-based program tokenizes letters of credit, which are transferred to grantees through peer-to-peer transactions, reports FCW. The process enables the Treasury Department to monitor the release of grant payouts from the government's pursuit to qualified recipients. The tokens also store pertinent data, including grant amount and grantee information. To securely receive the grant money, recipients would have an electronic wallet that's linked to a bank account. Wow. electronic wallet. Fisher, who unpacks his thoughts on blockchain in the NextGov article, where he deliberates the billions of dollars governments and private corporations have made in the technology that underpins Bitcoin, affirms that the new U.S. Treasury platform is a private system as opposed to a decentralized open network that can be viewed by the public. Says Fisher, this isn't the Bitcoin network where everything is visible to everyone. Okay, see, stop right there. Understand that what they're doing is not blockchain like we know. It is a blockchain that is controlled. It is not a a distributed ledger technology, DLT. That's what the blockchain is. This is their own version of it that they control. So there's a difference. Got to know the difference. The development follows remarks made by U.S. Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin, an outspoken critic of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies that have popularized blockchain technology, calling the digital assets a national security issue. While speaking at a House Financial Services Committee hearing last month, Mnuchin also dismissed the idea of creating a central bank digital currency. He remarked, Chair Powell and I have discussed this. We both agree that in the near future, in the next 5 years, we see no need for the Fed to issue a digital currency. Yeah, we'll see how that works. The Fed is already working on it. It's called the Fed coin. And the next 5 years, okay, if Donald Trump wins, yeah, that's the next 5 years. But we're going to have a constitutional crisis by the end of this year. One way or another, if he wins or loses, it's going to be a constitutional crisis. If he wins, you're going to have the freaking Democrats losing their doggone mind. It's going to be bad. All right. You know, someone just shot me a message, Brandon. Why do you think it's going to go down that way? Okay, one, I think we've seen enough of Donald Trump to be able to gauge his personality, how he acts and responds to things. It is a fact that as president, he cannot be charged outside of Congress with a criminal crime. Outside of Congress. Not until he is no longer president. There are several cases where the moment he is no longer president, he goes to court. He is individual number one in the Michael Cohen stuff. Michael Cohen is in prison for what went down, and he was acting under orders that has already been proven from individual number one. But because he's president, they can't do anything about it. There are other court cases in New York from issues outside of the Mueller report and all that stuff, Mueller report, that if he's not president, he goes to trial for. The president is going in his 80s. The best way he can stay out of that is by remaining president. Donald Trump has exhibited self-preservation tendencies. That is why we've got, 19 individuals connected to him are all in jail. He'll have no problem throwing somebody under the bus. He almost threw Rudy Giuliani under the bus. That's why Rudy said, hey, I've got insurance. That ain't going to happen. So it is in Donald Trump's best interest to remain president to avoid criminal charges. This is a fact, not a Democrat or a Republican talking point. It is a fact. Here's something else you must understand. The Republican base is going to support Donald Trump no matter what. He was right when he said, I could shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue and I won't lose any voters. He was correct. There's absolutely nothing he can do that is going to change his supporters' opinion of him. Why? You'd have to ask them. They'll tell you we've got the greatest economy in a long time. We've got unemployment rate at its lowest rate. We've got the judges that we want on the Supreme Court. We are making America great again. We're getting rid of all those terrorists that's coming into our country. We're protecting our borders. America first. All of that outweighs his character flaws. I may not agree with how he does and says things, his crassness, but by golly, he's for America. You have to understand the mindset. And the swamp is out to get them. The conspiracy guys, the deep state, they want to overthrow a duly elected president. They want to have a coup. We got to support him. He's for us. Like I said, when I was taught in debates, you must not only understand your side, but you must put yourself in the shoes of your opponent and see things through their eyes, see things through the way they act. And I'm only giving 50% because there's an undertone here for the support of Donald Trump that I don't want to go down that road. I will say this. Just because you support Donald Trump does not make you racist. But all the racists support Donald Trump. Why? Why do they feel comfortable with him? And why does it not bother you that they do? That's all I'm going to say about that. But then you've got the other side. I forgot one more thing. Their greatest fear also is if it's not Donald Trump, it's some crazy Hillary Clinton, and we can't have her be president. What she represents, the evil she brings, Benghazi, missing emails, the Grove, the evil Democrats, abortion. So in their eyes, the alternative is far worse than Donald Trump. At least Donald Trump is for us and what we believe in. But there's no way in the world we can allow the other side to be in office. The greater, I've been watching the freaking Witcher on Netflix. And even the first episode talks about the lesser of two evils. But if you can put yourself in the other shoes, you can understand their point of view. I understand their point of view. I understand the racist point of view, why they do what they do. They feel that they're losing their way. They're losing their way of life. They're losing the way America used to be. But let me stop there because I'm being very political here on not trying to be political. I am not making either one side evil or not, just because you support Donald Trump or not. We're all Americans. I'm only speaking on what will go down on election night. I thought it was actually going to happen when Obama was president. Oh man, I thought the other side was going to rise up and have a civil war. Don't think they didn't want to. But if they try to remove Donald Trump, one way or another. All right, next article up. This is geopolitics now. Pay attention to this. France announces it will begin teaching cryptocurrencies in high school. What is my number one rule and goal? Education is key. Education is everything. We've got China that's made it a mandate that they are forced to learn cryptocurrencies from top down. Bitcoin, or not Bitcoin, but blockchain technology, in other words. They are forced to, from top down. We've got France. They're going to start teaching it in high school. And what has been a surprising move France has announced it will begin teaching cryptocurrencies in high school. This makes the country the first to do so. You don't think that they've been paying attention to China? Let me go back. I got to read a quote. Let me tell you why France is making this move now. And you're going to start to see a domino effect take place. Let me first quote Vladimir Putin in 2016, who said, "The Stone Age did not end due to the lack of stones. The Stone Age ended due to the introduction of better technology. And look on the ground. There are still stones are on the ground. The nation that leads the way in this technology will become the new world superpower, and the nations that do not will be living underneath the thumb of those who do." And then what happened? President Xi Jinping of China, October 2019, announced that China would embrace blockchain across all industries in a mission to become the world leader in its deployment, calling the technology an important breakthrough. Xi has mandated the country's business leaders to use it to enhance processes related to finance, the improvement of mass transit, and the alleviation of poverty. All right, so now we realize where the new gold rush is taking place. The new industrial revolution is taking place in this technology, and the nations of the world are going to be on a race to be the first. So we've got Russia, we've got China, and now we have France. So I'm going to read this again. In what has been a surprising move, France has announced it will begin teaching cryptocurrencies in high school. This makes the country the first to do so. The announcement could, however, spark a new trend, and we could see other countries begin teaching students about the new technology. You see, in China, they have more honor roll students than we have students, period, in the United States. Is the United States going down this route? No. Not even close. That's why business is good for me, because I teach crypto education. Cryptocurrencies have been around for more than 10 years. It all began with Bitcoin, the oldest and the most successful cryptocurrency to date. Soon after its launch, other cryptocurrencies began to emerge, and now there are thousands of them. In much of the time they have been in existence, governments, banks, and other established institutions have chosen to dismiss them. Others have, however, saw the potential with the new type of currency and have continued to advocate for them. In recent years, their effort has paid off, and we have seen cryptocurrencies go mainstream. It's not mainstream yet. All right? They may say that it's not mainstream yet. The height of this was in 2017, when Bitcoin climbed to reach an all-time high price of $20,000 a coin. The announcement from France was made by the French Education Ministry, Le Ministère de l'Éducation Nationale. The minister in a document stated that cryptocurrencies will be added to the high school curriculum. He explained that this would enable learners to understand the fundamentals of currencies. They would further be able to understand and differentiate between centralized and decentralized currencies. That is important. I say that all the time. Know the difference between digital currencies and cryptocurrencies. They're going to be teaching this. I don't see this happen in the United States anytime soon. Why? Because we don't even teach financial literacy in high school. We don't teach kids how to write a check, how to balance a budget, how to open up a bank account, how to set up savings, how to apply for loans. We don't teach any financial literacy. So why in the world will we all of a sudden start teaching crypto? We are going to be way behind as a nation from the rest of the world. From top down, our president says cash is king all day, Bitcoin is nothing. So if we don't even have the right direction from the top, it's not going to trickle down to the rest of the industry and the nation, unless done so privately, which means each of you will have to take that responsibility for yourself and educating your own family. You can't rely on the government to do so. This isn't Russia. This isn't China. This isn't France. Watch, the UK is going to do it next. South America, you're going to start seeing them do it. Why is France teaching cryptocurrencies now? While the document from the minister does not explain why now, one can speculate. Bitcoin adoption in France and around the world is at an all-time high. It is also clear to every government and organization that cryptocurrencies are here to stay, so they're finally figuring that out. These could be one of the reasons that could have led the French government to begin teaching cryptocurrencies. If the next generation can better understand them, they will have a better hand. See that? That just makes common sense. What are we doing? Additionally, there is a global financial uncertainty, one which is only second to the one witnessed in 2007, before the financial crisis. Starting with France, the world is headed for an economic turmoil. Why does it have a link here? Well, is there an article about this? Let's see. It didn't come up, huh? The title, the European Central Bank provides Bitcoin with armor as it cuts interest rates to a record low. Why was that pulled down? In France, economic trouble has gone as far as sparking the yellow vest protests. So here's what happened. This started last year. I remember my wife went to Paris, and she got back like 1 week before the riots broke out there. So it's getting so bad in France that they are looking for an alternative. In France, economic trouble has gone as far as sparking the yellow vest protests. In a number of other countries, including America, Britain, China, and Venezuela, there is economic fear. Cryptocurrencies can mitigate this and future crises of the same natures. There it is. You know why businesses have success? Because they solve a problem that most people are experiencing. Solve a problem and you're going to have success. What is the problem? Economic fear and uncertainty. Cryptocurrencies can mitigate this. Future generations need to learn about cryptocurrencies so they can better ensure their financial prosperity. Stop right there. If you have children, you will be negligent to not teach them about crypto. That is parental negligence. My two boys have no desire to know about Bitcoin. I am forcing them. They may not get it now, but they will later. Whatever the reason, the initiative has been welcomed by crypto enthusiasts who hope other countries can join in. I'm going to save that one. I'm going to quote that later. U.S. threatens to shut down Iraq's bank account as crypto proponents point to censorship-resistant Bitcoin. Whoa, wait, what? I read this wrong when I thought it said Iran when I saw this article this morning. It's saying Iraq? Why are we threatening Iraq? Let's read. Iraqi officials tell the Wall Street Journal that the U.S. government is threatening to cut off access to its central bank account held at the Federal Reserve Bank of New York. Such a move could further destabilize Iraq's economy. Why are we doing that? The Trump, oh, well, there you go. Need I say more? The Trump administration issued the warning last week, according to Wall Street Journal, in an effort to compel Iraq to think twice before booting American troops from the region. The threat follows heightened tensions between Iran and the U.S. in the aftermath of the U.S. military airstrike that killed top Iranian General Qasem Soleimani. You know, 43 years old, almost my entire life, we have been embroiled in this Iran-Iraq crap. Starting from 1979, I was 3 years old. through the Iran-Contra of the 80s, to the Gulf War of the 90s, to the Iraqi invasion in the 2000s with Afghanistan. And now here we are in the 2020s and we're messing around with Iran and we're still in Iraq. My entire life. You know what? As an American, here's what I would say. We have two choices. We either do it or we don't. Here's one choice. Pull out everything from the Middle East. Bring all of our troops home. Forget Iraq. Forget Iran. Forget Afghanistan. Come home and leave them to their own vices that they've been fighting with each other for the last 2,000 years. Let them have it. Now, that's going to come with consequence. Number one, that leaves the area open for Russian influence. That leaves Iran much stronger, and it leaves Israel isolated, and it's more than likely they will run Israel into the sea if we were to make that move. The second option, if we're going to be there, take the damn thing over. Take over completely Iraq, take over completely Afghanistan, and take over Iran. Completely. Not dibble-dabble. 5,000 troops here, 10,000 troops. Take them over completely. If you're going to do it, do it. Anything less will keep us in a quagmire for the rest of my life. So my entire life will be dealing with freaking Iraq and Iran. How many presidents since then? That's 7 presidents dealing with this crap. Jimmy Carter, who screwed up the U.S. Embassy thing in 1979. Ronald Reagan, who got caught in the Iran-Contra, backing Saddam Hussein. Yeah, did you know that? We backed Saddam Hussein in the 80s. Colonel Oliver North. Daddy Bush going to war with Iraq in 1992 to remove Saddam. Well, we didn't remove Saddam Hussein. We just got him out of Kuwait. 9/11 happens. Iran or Iraq had nothing to do with it, and we attack Iraq. 2010s, still there, fighting Al Qaeda and ISIS. Finally got rid of Osama bin Laden. And now we're in 2020 and we blow up the Iranian top general. Beginning of the year, January 2nd. That's how we start off the new decade. We're about to go to war with another country in the Middle East. It's never ending. All right, let me stop my rant. President Trump says Soleimani was orchestrating an attack on 4 U.S. embassies, including the American embassy in Baghdad. Soleimani's death provoked a counterattack by Iran on 2 bases housing U.S. troops, inciting fears of increasing military action and war. You know, Iran played this so wrong, completely wrong. They had a huge opportunity by a U.S. blunder, and they screwed it up. What do I mean? They have had a bad week. The one thing, they provoked Donald Trump. That wasn't necessary. They shouldn't have done that. Because if you put all options in front of Donald Trump to take, he's always going to go with the most extreme. That's why he took out this general. Politics aside. However, when he did that, the world was not backing the United States on this. So Iran had to play this right. They said, okay, we can't allow this to stand. We've got to respond. So they did respond, and they respond by lobbing missiles at us, but they did so in a way that not one single U.S. casualty occurred, and a sign that they want to de-escalate tensions. So far, so good. But what did they do next? Blew up a commercial airline. That's their biggest blunder. So no longer can they take the high road and talk about, oh, well, in the 80s, the U.S. shut down one of our commercial flights, because we did. We thought it was an F-14 Iranian jet or whatever, and we blew up at a Iranian commercial jet, 200 and something Iranians dead on our watch. And they held that over our heads for decades. Now they shoot down their own plane. Most of the citizens were Iranians. How many 60-something Canadians, but the dual citizenship? And then not one American was on board that plane. So they shoot down that plane. Now they've got their own people. 2 weeks before the general was blown up, was marching in the streets against their government. General Soleimani killed 100 of them. They were protesting their own government. But by attacking General Soleimani, we united their country against us. But now that they blew up their own commercial airline, their people are back in the streets saying, you know what? America ain't the enemy. The enemy is right here at home. Because even with the United States sanctions, it's not the top officials that's going to hurt. It's not the top officials that's going to starve. It's the people. And who are they blaming? Not America. They're blaming their own government. So now they're on the verge of another revolution taking place inside Iran. They blundered an opportunity. And now Donald Trump's just going to sit back and watch what happens, how this plays out. So now even if they try to unite the nation again by, attacking the U.S. or attacking Israel, we're going to pound them the moment they do that. Not a good day in Iran right now. So President Trump says Soleimani orchestrating an attack on 4 U.S. embassies, including the American embassy in Baghdad. Soleimani's death provoked a counterattack by Iran on 2 bases housing U.S. troops, inciting fears of increasing military action and war. Softened its rhetoric last week with a more conciliatory tone, expressing the desire for peace in the Middle East. Instead of military action, it delivered the message of hammering Iran's economy with harsh new sanctions on its multi-billion-dollar metal industry. Crypto entrepreneurs and supporters are weighing in on the impact of the U.S. strategy to pressure Iraq into maintaining the status quo, and Iraq will. There's no way Iraq is going to defy America. It's just all talk. But pressure Iraq into maintaining the status of housing American troops by commandeering its money supply. So for those of you who don't understand the Middle East, and you may ask, why would Iraq even do that in the first place? Isn't America their allies? Aren't we propping up their government? The government is being run by Shia Muslims. Saddam Hussein was Sunni. In the Middle East, they don't recognize borders the way we do. We carved up those borders after World War I and World War II. They're more tribal than borders. Iranians are not Arabs. They're Persian. There's a difference there. But as far as tribal, all Iran, most of Iran is Shia. Most of Iraq is Shia. But the majority of the Muslim world is Sunni. That was Saddam Hussein, was a Sunni. So the leaders in the Iraqi government have more in common with the leaders in Iran. So they're getting their orders from Iran. That's why they're walking a fine line here, because they're being supported, though, by the U.S. So that's why Donald Trump is basically saying, remember who your daddy is. It ain't the supreme leader over there in Iran, it's us. Watch what you do. Says Gabor Gerbach, digital asset strategist at New York-based investment manager firm Van Eck, the weaponization of fiat currencies, and that's not new. We've been doing that since World War II. If you don't like what if you don't do what we want, we will put sanctions on you. We call that diplomacy. We have weaponized money. The weaponization of fiat currencies, payment railways, and central banks continued during conflicts in everyday life. It's only a matter of time that people start adopting independent, apolitical, non-sovereign monies and payment railways such as Bitcoin. That is true. Our actions is going to force them into the cryptocurrency space. They're going to create their own digital coin that they can do trading amongst themselves. They're going to get rid of the US dollar as a world reserve currency. They're not going to need it anymore. They can say we can still trade with Iran, China, Russia, North Korea, any nation on that Pan-Asian bloc. Trade oil, trade food, trade electronics, technology without the US dollar. If they go that route, they take away one of the United States' weapons, sanctions, because if sanctions aren't working, then the only other option we have is using the biggest, baddest military the planet has ever seen. And that's what I'm afraid of. You guys ready for another 10 years of war and possibly the draft? YouTuber The Crypto Lark said this kind of blatant extortion is why countries will move to Bitcoin. Well, I mean, one man's extortion is another man's, is freedom. You got to do things this way. But the other side will say, you're extorting us. Crypto analyst Plan B says governments are weaponizing money, thereby degrading it to function as money. Today, Iran. Tomorrow, they cut you off. Protect yourself with Bitcoin. That is true, because the same thing can happen in the United States. They can freeze all accounts. They took us off the gold standard, so your money's worthless. Your money is only worth what they tell you it's worth. You have no recourse. You have no gold stashed underneath your mattress. And the more cashless society that we go into, the more control they have. It's just like Bitcoin. If you don't control your keys, you don't control your money. Well, I got my money in the bank. Really? A crash happens, you don't have that money anymore. They put locks on the bank's doors. You can't pull that money out. The bank owns the money, not you. Here we go here. Bank account seizures stemming from political conflicts. Those of you who know that how the government can garnish your wage or even seize your bank account. Bank account seizures stemming from political conflicts, economic agendas, and policy mandates underscore a main tenet of cryptocurrencies and decentralized systems. Without the need for a bank or other financial institution, Bitcoin and similar digital assets allow individuals, organizations, and governments to store, send, and receive money without permission. Iraq deposits revenue from oil sales into its account at the Federal Reserve Bank of New York, which held nearly $3 billion in overnight deposits at the close of 2018, reports CNBC. Those funds fuel the government paying salaries and contracts, while Prime Minister Adel Abdul Mahdi argues that expelling the roughly 5,300 American troops is the only way to defuse the conflict in Iraq. That's not true. The Wall Street Journal reports that Trump promptly issued the warning to freeze the central bank account in a phone call on Wednesday. This is ongoing news we need to pay attention to. From the crypto standpoint, only because we're going to see how this is going to affect the price of Bitcoin and crypto. Everything else, that's up to you and your own vices as far as politics is concerned. I only concern myself with the facts and with the reality of what are the repercussions of our actions and how can we protect ourselves individually, whether you believe in those actions or not. You know, I've seen many times people that will vote against their own interest and not even realize it. Or those that do vote against their own interests are, you know, chalking it up, saying, I got to take one for the team. But we have no say-so in this. Therefore, we must prepare for all scenarios. We must prepare for Donald Trump losing. We must prepare for Donald Trump winning re-election. You got to prepare for both. Doesn't matter which side you're on. There's going to be consequences to either, to whether he wins or whether he loses. There's going to be consequences. We have to be prepared for all scenarios as Americans. With that, that is the end of Crypto Talk for today. I went way off on tangents that I did not expect, but it is important, it is necessary. I hope you learned something new. As always, that is the point. Today, what is going on as far as business is concerned, there is Peter Blackwell doing his presentation for Crowd 1 at 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Pacific. Again, those of you that are international, I am looking for people. Canada, Mexico, Australia, African continent, and anywhere in Asia. Those are my primary focuses. It is exploding. We just got some new news now. They expect to have 3 million members by the summertime and 10 million by the end of the year. 10 million. I have never in my career seen anything move like this. Never. As a disclaimer, everything that I'm sharing is not an attempt to recruit. I'm just sharing facts. So I look at myself as an example. Just on my account alone has more than 10 million euros in points. Since it's a binary, commissionable volume has crossed over 4 million. That's just sitting there saying, Brandon, come get it. I have never in my career seen that, especially since I haven't done anything. I just signed up. I haven't done anything yet. But Peter's in Sweden, and he has taken action. And then tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, I will be doing the presentation on our Up to Give Academy. People, if you listened to last night, I got to listen to that again. Wait, did I do it last night? No, I did it yesterday afternoon. Yesterday morning for me. Said that was the best presentation I've done on it. And it was the first time I ever did that presentation because we had some adjustments. I didn't think so. I'm going to have to go back and re-listen to it again. But we're doing it again tonight. Launch is January 15th, next Wednesday is the launch. This is huge. You know what my ultimate goal is with this, with the Up to Give Academy? My goal is to be able to say that I contribute more than $60,000 a month to a charitable cause every single month. That's my goal with the Up to Give Academy. To educate the masses, to help the people that have unbanked. The Up to Give Academy is going to be huge, and you're at the beginning. So those are two things going on. If you want to know information about either, send me a private message, and I'll give you the link to those presentations. And of course, I can't end without saying that the need for crypto education is paramount. We see that China's doing it. We see that France is doing it. It is not happening sanctioned here in the United States. Therefore, you got to do it yourself. If you want to get plugged into affordable crypto education, send me a message and I'll point you in the right direction. It is priceless. It is more important than anything else. You got to be educated. I will not do business, or I will not invest with people who will not get educated with crypto. Just won't do it. So with that, you guys have a great day. Bitcoin is now at 8170. Let's see, since I've been speaking for the last hour, let's see how, it's gone down 0.4% over the last hour. But it's 8,094. So that you guys have a great day. See you all in a couple of hours. Bitcoin Brandon out. God bless. Bye-bye.